Poland on a Plate is brought to you by Krakus. Krakus, the true imported Polish ham.
Welcome to Poland on a Plate. Today's episode is all about beef. Please join our special guest chef, Chef Rick Gresh of David Burke's Prime House in the James Hotel, as he takes us on a culinary journey with a new twist on a classic Polish steak tartare, a unique method of using salt blocks to cook vegetables, and his award-winning dry-aged ribeye. And later, I will show you how to make my favorite mac and cheese with Krakus ham. I'm here with Chef Rick Gresh of David Burke's Prime House in the James Hotel, who will be showing us a modern twist on a classic Polish dish, steak tartarski, or steak tartare. Welcome, Chef Gresh. Thank you for joining us. Please tell me a little bit about your restaurant.
Well, thanks for having me. We're located right downtown on Ontario and Rush Street. We just got voted #1 steakhouse in Chicago by Chicago Magazine.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. And you know, we specialize in dry aging meat anywhere from 28 days all the way up to 75 days.
So what are we going to start with today? We're
going to start with making basically a little slaw.
Okay.
And it's going to start with some celery roots. So a lot of people, we've already peeled this down. A lot of people think that this is the bottom part of what celery is in the ground.
Like the root of it.
The root of it. Mm-hmm. It's actually not. It's a whole separate plant that they grow just for this. But it tastes like it should be that part of celery, right? So we have a mandolin here, and we're gonna do the easy work by just running it across this, trying to get some thin sliced discs.
Yeah,
okay?
They're almost see-through.
Yeah.
Very paper thin.
Nice and paper thin, and the mandolin will help you do that. And so then we just put them in a couple stacks. So make it easier with our knife work. So with mandolins, they have some blades for teeth that could do this for you. But with celery root, it's a little bit too firm to get through there. And this is a little bit easier, a little more safe.
You make it look so easy. Who needs the teeth on the mandolin?
So into the bowl, we're gonna go with this. Next up, some fresh horseradish. Again, we've peeled down the outside already. And with this, we're just gonna grate it right on top. And it's gonna feel like you're putting in a lot of horseradish here because you're probably used to the jar stuff that has all the bite and the zing to it. But this is more fragrant, it's fresh, and you can really get that aroma. So then, pinch of sugar, some salt and pepper, and why don't you add some sour cream there to it, and I'm gonna start slicing up just a little bit of red onion. And we want them nice and thin.
And the red onion's also going to go into the slaw.
Yeah, and I'll run a knife through it just sort of haphazardly to kind of break them down into smaller pieces. I'm going to throw that in.
Adding a beautiful little bit of color in there.
Absolutely. And then we still need to add a little bit of acid to it. So we're going to add a little bit of lemon juice.
This will really like boost the freshness of it.
Absolutely. So as you mix that, I'm going to start with the dressing for the steak tartare. We're going to start with a little bit of mustard. And then we have some capers here. So we're trying to add a little bit of that briny flavor to it. And we're just gonna run a knife through it pretty quickly. You don't have to make them too small. You want the bite from them, but
it's okay to still have it, that burst almost when you take a bite into it. And these are both very traditional components to a steak tartare, the capers and the mustard.
For sure.
Although the horseradish is very different with the slaw and everything. That's not something that you would typically find.
Right, and that's going to add some creaminess and a little bit more richness to the dish than just a traditional tartare. So I have a shallot here. We're just going to cut it as finely as possible. I like shallot because it's a little sweeter, it's a little milder than, say, a white onion. But if you like that heat, you could easily use a white onion.
And this will kind of match. We have the red onion in the slaw, the shallot in the steak tartare itself.
So we're just going to add this shallot into here. And then we have a pinch of chives, and we're going to come in with some secret weapons. So we have a little bit of olive oil, and you want to make the dressing somewhat loose so it coats the meat. And here's some chili oil. So just a little bit of heat to it.
Love that color.
And then we're going to go back to lemon. So We want the zest in this one. So we're gonna, again, kind of highlight lemon twice in the dish in two different ways, one with the juice, one with the zest. And then we have some great beef tenderloin right here, nice and fresh, just diced up. You could use tenderloin, you could use sirloin. You're just gonna throw that in there. I wanna add a little salt and pepper to it. And then, pretty simple, we're just gonna mix it up. Not the hardest thing in the world, right? So on this, now we're gonna plate on some crostini. So this is just some baguettes that we've toasted in the oven with a little bit of olive oil on it. And the idea is that we're gonna put a little bit of this on one side and you top the other side of the baguette with some slaw. It's okay if you lay it sort of right on top. It doesn't have to be perfect.
I like the contrast of like the really white and creamy and then the fresh red meat. You can see the chives, all that green with the capers. Really beautiful looking dish.
Well, then there's one last thing. So steak tartare, everybody thinks of egg, right? And instead of doing the raw egg, we hard-boiled eggs, and we're just gonna run a knife through the yolk a little bit just to kind of break it up. It doesn't have to be perfectly diced. And you're just gonna kind of sprinkle that on. Again, we're gonna add a little more color, a little more flavor to the plate.
So it's a component that people are expecting, but in a new, updated way.
Absolutely. So you got that great sort of egg yolky richness to it, the creaminess from the celery root slaw. So this is perfect for, you know, having people over. It's really quick, easy to eat. There you go.
Well, I don't think I can wait any longer to give this a try. This is wonderful. You can really taste all those flavors coming together. You get the different layers of texture, the different layers of flavor. What a wonderful way to do steak tartare. Thank you very much, Chef Gresh.
Thank you.
Poland on a Plate is brought to you by Krakus. Krakus, the true imported Polish ham.
Welcome back. Chef Gresh and I will now explore one of the newest culinary trends, cooking with salt blocks. Chef Gresh, so please explain to me what we have here.
So this is a block of salt from the Himalayan mountains. It's 250 million years old, naturally organic. It's full of positive ions. There's 84 trace minerals in it. It's the same 84 trace minerals that's found in the human body. And it prevents, you know, like, if you're into holistic stuff, it purifies the air, it prevents diseases, that kind of thing. And we basically heated it up and we're cooking on it. So you don't have to season it. It takes the salt right from there. And you can cook anything on it. You can roll dough on it, you can bake pizzas on it. So it's a whole different way of cooking.
It's interesting that you mentioned about the air quality because Poland is known for the Wieliczka salt mines. And a lot of people will go and visit the salt mines because it has that wonderful air quality to help with breathing and other more holistic.
Well, that's exactly what we stole that idea when we did the dry aging box, because our dry aging room is lined with all the salt blocks, so we kind of have our own little
awesome.
room
all
there.
Right. So we have here cooking. It looks like carrots and mushrooms.
Yep, really simple. Just a little bit of olive oil. We threw some pepper on them, and we're letting them cook. The carrots, nice dark golden brown. You want to caramelize them, get that sweetness going. So we're going to make two different salads. And to start with the mushroom salad, in the blender, we're going to make basically like a pesto vinaigrette. So I have some pine nuts, some garlic, basil leaves, a little salt and pepper, some olive oil, and a splash of white balsamic vinegar. You could use dark balsamic, but we're not going to get the pretty color that we will with the white balsamic. So give that a whirl.
Right. Okay. Looks good.
Looks great. So then we're going to take some fresh red onion, a little bit of watercress, and watercress has that kind of punch to it, a little bit of heat to it. So it's not too spicy, but it's just gonna make it a nice peppery kind of flavor. And why don't you grab some mushrooms, throw them in there, and while they're still hot, we're gonna let the watercress wilt a little bit.
Okay, so the heat of the mushrooms we're using to help the watercress along.
Exactly. So then we're gonna take some of the pesto vinaigrette and just dress it a little bit, and then to plate, this is a great warm salad. Don't run away with that too far.
Oh, I won't.
We're gonna just mix it together, make a nice little pile. And it's not often that you get to eat a warm salad, you know, and the mushrooms are perfect for that. They're meaty.
You can smell all these wonderful flavors from the pesto, and you have a little bit of mushrooms and the onions. Beautiful.
And then just to, you know, make it a little more chefy and pretty, we're gonna drizzle a little bit around, a little extra sauce.
Delicious.
All right, so that is the mushroom salad there. The next one is the carrot dish. So some chopped garlic, and this is some chopped thyme, a little chopped parsley, and again, we're gonna grab those carrots right off the block.
Oh, got the big boy tongues for that one.
And you can smell just how caramely sweet that is.
Ooh, yeah. That's so cool, and we got all of this just by putting it on the salt block.
That's it, and so now it's just as simple as cut them up into some chunks. And you can have this served warm, you can actually serve this cold.
Let the carrots cool after cooking and then serve it cold?
You can make this salad hours ahead and totally just serve it that way later on. So again, it's really simple dressings. We're just gonna use some olive oil, and it's just enough to coat. And sort of the standard rule is about 3 to 1 oil to vinegar. And we're just gonna add a little bit of sherry vinegar.
So as opposed to the white balsamic that we used in this, we're using a sherry vinegar in this one.
Absolutely. Nice, dress it up. And you can, again, you smell the vinegar, you smell the garlic, all those herbs are coming alive.
It's amazing how much you can actually smell the carrots from that cooking. They're so fragrant.
And this is that simple. Just throwing it in the dish, and then we're gonna add a touch of goat cheese to it. That's gonna add a nice little bit of richness and a little bit of zing. So we're kind of matching the zing of the vinegar with a little bit of zing of goat cheese and some creaminess and fattiness to it.
You can see it just starting to like melt on top of the warm carrots. It's beautiful.
There you go. A little carrot salad cooked on salt blocks.
Thank you. These both look incredible. What a gorgeous and tasty way to do vegetables. I'm excited. I hope all the viewers at home are also excited to try it out in their own kitchens.
Poland on a Plate is brought to you by Krakus. Krakus, the true imported Polish ham.
Welcome back to Poland on a Plate. During this segment, I'll feature a delicious recipe using Krakus, the true imported Polish ham. Now I'm going to show you how to make some delicious baked macaroni and cheese. This is the ultimate comfort food, and the addition of Krakus cubed ham helps to make it a complete meal. I have my pan heating up over here on the stove, and I'm going to start by adding a little bit of butter to my pan. That should be enough. And we're going to be making a roux first off. And what's important to remember is that you'll need to use equal parts of butter and flour. I'm gonna add a little bit of flour to it. That looks good, and we'll just let it cook for a little bit longer. Over here, I have some milk that I've warmed, about 3 cups worth. And make sure that your milk is warm before you add it into the pan, because cold milk in a hot pan will curdle your cream sauce. Just gonna add it in right there. You're gonna take your whisk and just make sure to break up any clumps of flour. Turn up the heat a little bit, because you're gonna want this to come to a slow boil. That's the only way that the roux is gonna work. Our sauce is good. You can see it starting to bubble. It has a lot thicker of a consistency. As you can see there on the bottom, it's got some viscosity going to it. Go ahead and take it off the heat. Now we're going to be adding our cheese. I have a blend here, 1 part cheddar and 2 parts fontina. Cheddar is the flavor that most people love, especially kids, they expect in macaroni and cheese. I'm using a white cheddar because it's a little bit milder in flavor. We don't want it to overwhelm the other ingredients that we're throwing in here. And then fontina to supplement, because it's a really nice melting cheese with a soft and smooth texture, and it will again complement the flavor of the cheddar. Now I'm going to fold in our cooked noodles along with our cubed Krakus reduced sodium deli ham. Don't forget that in addition to offering sliced Krakus ham, your local deli counter can supply you with ham that you can cube at home or even slice into longer rectangular strips. And we're just going to stir to combine. That looks well combined. Just leave that. Now, I have a rectangular baking dish. Gone ahead and buttered already. Going to layer on our mac and cheese. Now I'm just spreading our macaroni and cheese into a single layer at the bottom of our dish. So make sure when you're doing this that you have it come up no more than halfway on the side of your dish. Now I'm going to add on top a little bit of breadcrumbs. I have some melted butter. I'm going to pour into our breadcrumbs. Just use my fingers, make sure I mix it in there nice and good. This will help with the browning. It'll also add a little bit of richness to the dish. Just going to sprinkle right on top, making sure not to pack it down. You want a little bit of breathing room for your noodles and your Krakus ham while it's in the oven. Okay, and that should do it. Now again, we've had our oven preheating to 350 degrees. This will go in for about half an hour. Oh, and doesn't this look good? All right, we have just a little bit of nice browning right at the top. Again, that was the breadcrumbs with the butter that helped to give it that really great color. You can see some of our beautiful Krakus ham peeping through. Again, in this dish, I use the reduced sodium variety. You can also use Krakus original Polish ham or their honey Polish ham. Both would make for excellent substitutions. And there you have it. That's my baked macaroni and cheese with Krakus ham. You can find these and other great Krakus recipes on our website at polandonaplate.com and find Krakus ham at fine delis near you. Bon appetit, or as we say in Polish, smacznego.
Poland on a Plate is brought to you by Krakus. Krakus, the true imported Polish ham.
I'm back with Chef Gresh, who will show us his famous award-winning dry-aged ribeye. Chef, so what do we have?
So this is a 40-day dry-aged ribeye. It was aged in the room at Prime House with the Himalayan salt there. And we're gonna start cooking it. And it's great meat, so we're gonna keep it really simple. Number one rule when you're searing meat, you wanna make sure that you dry the surface. Water is the enemy in this situation. Next up, just some salt and pepper.
So you really want the flavor of the meat to shine through versus the seasoning on the outside of the steak.
For sure, and for us, you know, we've spent so much time aging this perfectly, we really want to highlight that. And since we're cooking it in a pan, we're going to put just enough salt and pepper on to coat, but if we were going to grill it outside over an open grate grill, all that salt and pepper is going to fall off, so put a little extra on. And then, into the pan we go.
Beautiful.
So what we're looking for here, anytime you're searing meat, you want to get the Maillard reaction, that's the caramelization of the beef. And all that nutty sweetness is going to come out, and it's going to make your mouth water. That's the thing that we love. So, nice color on the steak. We'll flip it over and throw it into the oven.
And how high do we have the oven?
The oven's at 400 degrees right now. We're only going to put it in just to finish it. We're getting as much of the sear out here as possible.
So I hear that there's a very interesting story about where all of the steaks come from at the Prime House.
Yeah, it's our bull, Prime 207L. He's no longer with us, but he worked really hard when he was alive. So he worked 3 times a day, 6 days a week. He was off on holidays and Sundays.
So this is an actual bull that the restaurant owned and was sourcing all of the meat to keep consistency?
Absolutely, consistency, and we wanted to know where our product came from. And we wanted to be able to say, this is our meat. We're doing everything from the very beginning to the end to make sure that we're the best.
Oh, that's gorgeous. I like that we're using a grill pan with this versus a flat saute pan, so you do still get those marks in the meat.
Absolutely, and you can tell that beautiful dark golden brown color. That's the part you're gonna just die for. It's so good.
And we don't need to worry about keeping the bone on. It's actually better to cook with the bone than cutting it off before cooking.
Absolutely, anytime you cook anything on the bone, you're gonna keep the integrity of the meat together. But as soon as you take it off the bone, think about something that's gonna shrink from all the sides. It also is gonna add a little bit of flavor. Roasting of that bone there is gonna add a little flavor into the meat as well. So now that this is caramelized here, we're gonna put our secret weapon in. beef love. So after we're done dry aging the product, we trim all of that off and we melt it down with some garlic and some spices. And this is just gonna add a little bit more touch of that dry aged flavor. And
Very
off
nice.
to the oven we go.
All right, so our oven was at 400 degrees, and how long are we going to be keeping that steak in there for medium rare?
I'd say somewhere around 6 minutes or so.
Okay. All right, our steak is done.
All right, absolutely beautiful. So I'm gonna set that right there.
And I see that we're putting a little bit more of the love.
You
back
always
on
need
top.
more love, right?
Literally adding love to the food that we're
Absolutely.
cooking. So I see that we're using a special board here, and I believe that you actually make these, correct?
I do. I'm a woodworker on the side. Outside of being a chef, I have to keep myself occupied. And so I have a whole line of custom kitchen stuff that I made.
It's beautiful.
And so the other thing about steak is that you want to make sure after you're done cooking it that you let it rest. Give it a good 5 minutes or so. When it's hot, there's all these juices running around inside, and you want to just let it chill out for a second. If you cut into it right away, the blood's gonna go everywhere, it's gonna get dry and tough, and nobody wants that.
Well, I'll see if I can hold off. It's very tempting to cut into it right now. Thank you, Chef Gresh, for sharing this wonderful steak recipe with us. If you at home would like to try Chef Rick Gresh's famous dry-aged ribeye, you can find it at David Burke's Prime House at the James Hotel.
Poland on a Plate is brought to you by Krakus. Krakus, the true imported Polish ham.
You can find recipes from today's program at polandonaplate.com. Bon appetit, or as we say in Polish, smacznego.